wants an edit.
Well, good morning and welcome to Breakfast with the Mayors. It is great to have you with us this morning, this beautiful winter morning. My name is Eric Rojas. I'm the executive pastor here at Rolling Hills Community Church, and it is our joy once again to host Breakfast with the Mayors. So if you do not have a church home, know that you are cordially invited to join us at any of our services. At this time, would you join me for a word of prayer as we begin our Breakfast with the Mayors? God, our Heavenly Father, we come before you and we thank you for the joy and the privilege it is to live in this community with all of the resources and the family focus and all of the great leadership that we have here. We thank you for that privilege. We recognize that every good and perfect gift comes from your hand. We ask a prayer of blessing on our leaders of this community. We ask a prayer of blessing on their families as they tackle all of the joys and opportunities that lay before them. May they have wisdom and being good stewards of the county's resources and the city's resources. And when they tackle problems, give them the discernment they need as well. Thanks for the opportunity to gather together as community leaders. We ask all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to introduce to you the Franklin Tomorrow Board Chair, Alina Bell, and Executive Director, Mindy Tate.
Thank you, Pastor. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to say thank you for you coming, but I'd also like to say thank you for our returning partners. Our presenting partner for Breakfast with the Mayors series is Pinnacle Financial Partners. With us today from Pinnacle Financial Partners are Vicki Manning, Deanna Crome, Michael Collier, Courtney Tice, Linda Elminger, and John Mark McKenzie. We also would like to thank Williamson Medical Center, our sustaining partner for Franklin Tomorrow.
Thank you so much. And returning as platinum partners this year are Williamson County Association of Realtors, Hazen and Sawyer, and Patterson Hardy Ballantyne CPAs. Yes, it's that season. We're all starting to get ready. Ours is in March, our tax time that we have to get all our stuff to Patterson, Hardy, and Ballantyne is in March. That's just another thing on the list of things to do today. And then we also have our January sponsors, our Middle Tennessee Electric Membership Corp., and I saw Todd Palmer and Chuck Barber here this morning, thank you. And also Andrews Transportation Group, and I saw Curry Andrews here. There's Curry right there. Partners are so important because they allow us to keep our events free, including our breakfast partners, Puckett's Grocery and Restaurant, yay Puckett's, and Community Coffee. And be sure and see Brian. He has a coupon that's good at the grocery store for Community Coffee as well, so we really appreciate them.
2020 is our 20th anniversary of the founding of Franklin Tomorrow, which is something we will be celebrating throughout the year with a variety of events. Today, as you leave the auditorium, please consider donating $20 with our new dip jar technology.
It's so cool. It's like 3 seconds. You dip your card in, pull it out, and you've made a $20 donation, and we really appreciate that.
It's a credit card collecting device, and we would love for you to partner with us and participate in placing your credit card inside. Carly Shore, one of our newest employees as our community director of community engagement, is back there, and we thank you in advance for your support.
And we'll be doing a lot of activities that will center around our 20th anniversary this year, so it's 20 in 20. So maybe 20 events, we don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. I need one more thing to think about at night right? One more thing. But thank you, Alina, for your leadership. Let me have that mic and I'll leave it up here. Thank you for Alina's leadership. She leads our 25-member board of directors. And if you're a board member for Franklin Tomorrow, raise your hand or stand, and please thank them for their hard work. And also, we'd like to say thank you to Rolling Hills Community Church. This is a great facility, and they are wonderful to work with and always accommodating in meeting demands like this morning. where we had 400 RSVPs. So that is a wonderful thing to have. I'm going to sit down for a minute, but I'm going to call up Mayor Rogers Anderson and Mayor Ken Moore. We'll start with them, and then we'll bring the other mayors up in a few minutes. But Mayor Rogers Anderson and Mayor Ken Moore, you're all there. Here's the clip. Grab a mic over there. You're first, Rogers. You're first.
Well, good morning, and thank you for allowing us to be here. So we've got some slides. We only have a few minutes of which to observe these, but I thought there's some interesting data that's out on the market and that you would be enjoy seeing this. I'm going to get a little closer.
Don't fall off the edge, though.
Don't fall off the edge. The church has got good insurance. Do you understand that, Mindy?
Yeah.
So last week, several of the mayors and I were in Nashville at our regional meetings that we have. This was a slide that I think you'll enjoy seeing under our special projects if you would. I guess I'm the one that has to roll that.
Whoops, go back one. There you go.
So the very first slide that we have is doing some population numbers. I'd like to draw your attention to the Williamson County numbers that are shown up on the slide. This data in that column is 2018. We had about 220,000 people. You've got the census folks here going to give us some good hard numbers here in the next few months. We encourage you to participate in that. But I also draw your attention to the 2045 population, about 25 years out, 548,000 people. Wow. That's a growth of 327,000 people. Notice the next to the last column on the percentage of growth. Williamson County is expected to have 149% growth in the next 25 years. And then the final column is an annual growth rate. So we in the county, and I know the cities are dealing with these large growth numbers, and what can we do and be better prepared in the year 2045. Some of the population, I will not try to explain this. You sitting in the back, it's probably very hard to read, but those are some growth patterns from different organizations at different points in the year. In the county, we're looking at a new animal center. Andrea has been working, our director out there, for the last several years, but this is a 3 to 5 year window. This is off of Old Charlotte. If you know where Old Charlotte is, coming off from Carlisle Lane on some land that we purchased out there. This is the layout of that. This is the concept of that building, working with Franklin. This is a schematic design of that building that will house our animal population. We are absolutely in dire need of this. And this is more of a concept drawing the architects here in town, 906, have put together for us. This is some data to justify the growth of our animal center. As you can see, it almost runs parallel with the population growth. Williamson County does do all of the animal keeping of the animals, controlling the animals in our town, and I want to say thanks to all the cities that help participating in that. These are some population growth numbers of those animals. Again, I'll ask Diane to get this up on our website when we get back, and you're welcome to go to Williamson County and pull this off, you that are interested. And you that are also interested in animals, there's a fundraiser coming up at the end of March. They're trying to get a lot of the extras that they feel they need, and I will participate in that too. Juvenile Justice Center, wow. Over the last...
Judge Guffey is here. Judge Guffey is here today.
Yeah, Judge Guffey is here. I'm sure she can share even more conversation on this, but this is where our jail is now, a rock quarry. Some of you know that. We have our public safety building. We've got to reconfigure the site out over the next 3 to 4 years. They are busting at the seams. As our population grows, so do our juvenile issues here in our county. This gives you some numbers. This year, we looked at 2044 rather than 2045. I'm not sure why they did that, but that gives you some ideas of what's happening. Currently, we've got about 593 juveniles, and these are the projections that we will see over the next 25 years and what we've got to do out there. These are, again, cost and items that we have to deal with on a county government level, not necessarily the city. Many of you know there is no jail, there is no juvenile in the city, so all of that's transferred out to the counties. A jail, I'm just going through the hurriedly. Our jail is 30 years old. Again, we just have got to improve on what we're doing for the jail. Again, this is the area out at the end of Beasley Drive, and where and how we're going to situate that. We're going to try to keep it on the facility site out there, which means we'll have to collapse maybe a building or two, but we're looking at that whole campus area out there to house our jail and our juvenile, and they have to be separate by state law. This is kind of a snapshot of what our jail and our juvenile, which is together today, but if you go to build a new one in the future, you have to separate it, and all of the juveniles that we had are really listed in that juvenile booking area where where Judge Guffey lives and works. These are some of our numbers that have been told by our consultant, what we're looking at for the next 25 years. We need to increase our bed capacity from 454 to 761, and as you can see, there's a slight uptick in female incarceration in the years going forward. These are some just raw data. We draw your attention to 2024, just 4 short years out. And the bed needs that we have got to have is composed just another 20 years beyond that. As our community grows from that first slide, everything's relative here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mayor Moore, do you have an update for us? Do you have slides or an update?
I have no slides. And I'm glad that Rogers went first. Yeah, and thanks for, but that's not going to shorten what I'm going to say. Well, happy 2020 and welcome to a new decade. And as Rogers mentioned, I want to just kind of briefly touch on some of the things he talked about. As we get together as mayors within the region, we talk about our 2045 transportation plan, and that's where a lot of these numbers are coming from. And we are going to see this significant growth, and this growth is not just localized to Williamson County and Franklin and the cities in Williamson County, but it's the entire region that we're seeing this. We're looking at 14 counties in the entire area, and we see all of them growing significantly, but it looks like we are going to be probably the largest growth in any of those areas. One of the things whenever I was looking at statistics is we're changing as communities. And, you know, we have a lot of folks moving in here from other places. But one of the statistics that caught my eye was that Nashville in 2035, 62% of Nashville's population will be minority. So the entire region is changing in who we are. The other number that I wanted to mention was employment. You know, we have the lowest unemployment in the state here in Williamson County. And between now and 2045, we're going to continue to see significant job growth. In fact, our job growth is going to be 3 times that of Nashville Metro. And we kind of see that already, that we have significant job growth. A couple of quick things I want to mention is first is this is the year for the census. This is extremely important for us as cities and counties, because this is how we get paid back by the state, and the federal government is based on how many people live here. So I encourage you to make sure you fill out your census form, that you encourage your neighbors to do that also. Tomorrow is an important day, and as Franklin continues to do a lot of long-range planning, just like the county is. We're going to be sitting down with the county commission tomorrow, the Board of Mayor and Alderman will, and we're talking about land use. There's lots of concern about how we're developing and how we're protecting our land. So we're going to be comparing our land use plan to their land use plan, and our preliminary meetings indicate that both of these plans are very synergistic. So that's an important thing. Then there's always something important happening in Franklin, and the first thing is on February the 10th, we're going to be dedicating a marker for one of the Green Book homes that was in Franklin, Tennessee. For those of you that saw the movie, this was a refuge for African Americans back in a darker time. And this is the year to celebrate women's suffrage and the women's right to vote. And lastly, yesterday was an important day in that recognized the liberation that occurred at Auschwitz. But I wanted to talk a little more about what I've been doing lately. A lot of my focus recently has been on health. I haven't ignored transportation and housing and all those other things. But there's a new organization called Coalition for Better Health. It's led by Rick Johnson, who also led Healthier Tennessee. And this group is going to be led by a lot of CEOs, and their purpose is identifying preventable diseases and making sure that behavioral-related diseases, things that we do that make our health bad, that we eliminate those. We don't have a lot to brag about. Tennessee is hovering right down the bottom of health as a state. We have more hypertension, type 2 diabetes, heart disease than the average in the United States. We're in the bottom, as I said. And so we need to start focusing more on our health. We've focused on 4 different areas here in Franklin, and along with Franklin Tomorrow, and that's obesity, tobacco cessation, activity, and more recently we've changed our focus, or putting more focus on mental health issues. So we hope to be rolling something out about mental health sometime in about May, which is Mental Health Month. But what are we doing as far as a community? Well, first of all, we're trying to bring conversation about the issues of health. The way we insist that our city is designed with bike paths, sidewalks, connectivity, and the fact that we have high development standards all encourage people to live a healthier lifestyle. We have safe routes to school programs, and then thanks for Franklin Tomorrow, we have Get Fit Franklin, they have a health care council, and also we have Walk More with the Mayor, which we'll be doing in March. So thanks for the opportunity. It's really an honor to be here with the other mayors, and we collaborate and talk all the time, and they're really great guys. And I know we have other elected officials here in the audience this morning. If you're an elected official, county commissioner, city alderman, state rep, state senator, raise your hand and be recognized. And thanks for having me this morning.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Moore. And now we're going to bring back up, have a seat. We're going to bring all the mayors up on the stage now. Rogers, and then we have Brentwood Mayor Ray Little, Nolensville Mayor Jimmy Alexander, Thompson Station Mayor Corey Napier, and Spring Hill Mayor Rick Graham. Join us here. Fairview Mayor John Blade is out sick today, so good to see you. Welcome. You'll have a seat. Fairview Mayor John Blade texted me overnight, and he is sick today, and I told him to stay home with his germs because none of us need anything that's going around because there's so many things going around. But thanks for being here. You all always bring a crowd, I'll have to tell you that. This room is full. But we're going to start up north and work our way down a little bit. So Brentwood Mayor Ray Little, stage is all yours, and Deanna's in the back to control your slides.
Thank you all for having us. It's such an honor to be here. Thanks for Franklin Tomorrow, and thanks for Rolling Hills Church. And we've just celebrated a 50th birthday of incorporation in Brentwood. Brentwood's over 200 years old, but as an incorporated city, became incorporated in 1969. So I'm going to start with Deanna, who I need to thank also because she keeps me on point and makes my presentations look a whole lot better. So thanks, Deanna. But we're going to start with a video concerning our 50th anniversary.
I think Brentwood is a great place to live because of the people who choose to live here. They're willing to get out and work for their community, and I think that's what makes this a really wonderful place to live.
I think Brentwood is an incredible place because it has this small town southern charm, meets a little bit of that big city life with a lot of diversity and a lot of loving families.
Brentwood really brings out the best in everyone. Gives you that open-minded community to let you become what you want to be.
You know, one thing about Brentwood, it's a special place. And things that people deem special, they care about. We care about Brentwood.
That's the way Brentwood's always been. When people come, they stay because it's hard to find another Brentwood.
Thank you. Yes, the city deserves applause. And as my grandfather used to say, your feet have been placed in pleasant places, which I think is from the Psalms. But as we grow as a community, when I was born, there were 3,000 people in Brentwood. And so the beautiful dairy cattle and the gorgeous thoroughbred horses far outnumbered the population. We're now at about 44,000, and the special census may actually be at 45. And even though our growth has slowed, especially the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, with just about an average of 130 housing starts in Brentwood, it has had astronomical growth over the last 50 years. We're blessed where we are aesthetically, gorgeous community, gorgeous rolling hills, beautiful open meadows, but gorgeous subdivisions and houses. Our parks and recreation, we have over 1,000 acres of great parkland, which anybody in the county can enjoy. Of course, the two gyms I would say would be Crockett Park and Smith Park. It's rare to have 400 pristine acres in the middle of a metropolitan area, as Smith Park is. Community events. Every year we have several community events that we hope those in the county and the other municipalities in Williamson County would come and enjoy as well. But love our 4th of July fireworks. We always have a great concert, a great 4th of July show there at Crockett Park, and several Crockett Park concerts and movies in the park. Our historic homes, of course, at Smith Park we have the great Ravenswood Mansion, Antebellum Mansion, well preserved. It can be used for events as well as the Cool Springs House. Our schools, we appreciate our partnership with the county and a wonderful school system. We have 12 public schools in Brentwood. I'll brag, very proud that our high schools, both Brentwood and Ravenwood, is average, which still blows my mind, average ACT is 27.5. I thank our school board over here for our great schools. We as a commission, long before I was there, but for 33 years have always given to the schools. I know that the tax dollars in the county go towards the schools, but this is a little extra that the citizens of Brentwood have allowed the commission to do for 33 years. And last year it was $239,000 distributed to the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. It's $5.8 million that we've given over the last 33 years, and it allows for extras like computer carts and special things for the band and athletics and all. And so education is a very important part of Brentwood. And actually, even when it was a much smaller community as a child, it was always very important. So we're thankful we are able to do that. We have both an internationally accredited fire and rescue and police department. And we're very thankful for that. College days, remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that safety and security was that bottom foundation. And I think most of us, if we don't feel safe, the other things don't matter as much. And so safety is always a big emphasis in our city, and we are blessed to have world-class both fire and rescue and police. And we always want to keep in mind and thank our first responders. So it's so important. Of course, our big project right now is a new police headquarters, about $30 million. Been several years in the planning. It'll be centrally located. I think it will not only help the safety of Brentwood, but the safety of Williamson County residents and Middle Tennessee residents. It'll be positioned there on Concord Road, just off on Heritage Way, right there off of I-65 and close to Franklin Road, another major U.S. highway. We anticipate opening it in the spring of next year, and think it'll be a great addition not only to Brentwood, but all of Williamson County. And probably one of the best things the fire department did is, mayor, you sometimes have to put out fires, and so they let me go actually on a practical training mission and help put out a fire. So I want to thank you and just say it's so wonderful to be the mayor of Brentwood, but to be a Williamson County resident as well. And as I look out on the audience and know many of you and know your excellence and your service to our community, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Good job,
Thank
Ray.
you so much, Mayor Little. Thank you, Mayor Little. So we're going to move on and going to go around the county and visit Nolensville now, and we have Mayor Jimmy Alexander with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I guess this is on.
Yep.
And I can't think of a better place to visit than Nolensville. We're very proud of our town, and I thank you for allowing us to be here today. Like Ken, I didn't bring any slides, but I'll remember that next year and try to do a little bit better. But things are going well in Nolensville. You think of Nolensville as being a small, quaint town, and it is. And I think we pride ourselves on that. We love to have visitors, and I think we've maintained the town in the. It's like going back 20 years when you get there in the historic district, but it's a great place to be. But now we're growing a little bit. As Ken has mentioned, this is a census year, and I encourage everybody to take part in that. We plan to in Nolensville, but since the last census in 2010, we think we will double our population. That's pretty amazing for 10 years. The town's 25 years old, but in the recent years, the growth has been phenomenal. And we just keep dealing with it. Growth is great, but with growth comes problems. And just like other towns and other cities, we have problems, mostly due to infrastructure. We have traffic problems, and I think these other people up here are dealing with the same thing. But over the last couple of years, we've tried to address those. We're probably in better shape this year with regards to our road network than we have been since I've been mayor, and that's 8 years. We've spent millions of dollars trying to get Sunset Road improved, and it's a great improvement now from Nolensville Road all the way to Brentwood, and we're certainly proud of that. There's a lot going on in Nolensville. We take pride in our Trees and Trails Committee, who are now created a trail network that extends all the way around Nolensville. We're becoming more of a walkable town, and I think that's great since we've got so many young people that bike and run and walk. It's just a good thing. Nolensville is a great place. During this past year, I think we've had more retail development and stores coming online and restaurants than we've ever had in 1 year. That's a result of growth, of course. But Knowlesville continues to be a great place to live, great place to work, and a good place to visit. We're very proud of everything that's going on there now. We're in the middle of a zoning ordinance update, about 8 months into that. We are working on trying to make our town even more special for people to visit and to live there. Every thing is going along pretty good. We have an excellent police department now that keeps our citizens safe, and it's just working good. We have a new town administrator that will lead us into this new decade. Mr. Scott Collins. I think Scott might be here somewhere today. I don't see him right now, but Scott has come on board in the last couple of months and is doing a great job for us. I'm very proud to be mayor of Knowlesville and proud to represent them here today. And I hope you all come see us sometime. You all come see us sometime. We would really love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Alexander. Thank you, Mayor Alexander. And we're going to go to Thompson Station now with Mayor Corey Napier.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Little old Thompson Station, it's also growing. We're over, I'd estimate we're well over 5,000 and at a pretty good clip. That's probably, like Nolensville, doubled in the last 8 to 10 years. It's pretty phenomenal. How do you build modern Mayberry is a question I try to answer a lot on behalf of my constituents. I've been mayor for 12 years, and it's been an honor to serve. And when we came together as a community way back when and did a referendum to be annexed or to create our own charter, one thing that came out was we want to maintain the bucolic, close to everything but away from it all vibe. And so what does that look like? So we spent all these years in the last 20 to 30 years as a community trying to figure that out. How do you take 18 square miles of green space? It's very important to the state of Tennessee and to Williamson County based on where it's located. We span 840 basically over 3 interchanges. What happens over time as the mega trends in this country affect us? We do have people coming from all over the world every day moving into this county and into our community. And it's an extraordinary opportunity, and it's also an extraordinary challenge. And so we wrestle with the same things that you heard earlier, from how do you self-fund infrastructure, how do you get growth to pay for itself, how do you maintain a cow to human ratio that is an indicator of quality of life, right? And so what have we done in the last several years to address this modern Mayberry? How do you have all the sensibilities and values that we saw on that TV show so many years ago, but embrace the future and be progressive and protect what is so important to us and the values that we strive for? Like Ken said earlier, a big part of our community is give people what they came to Tennessee for, or why they live here. Why do they enjoy this part of the world? What do they enjoy? They enjoy the outdoors. What have we done about that in the last year or two? We've managed, with help from the federal government as well as state and local elected officials, to win over $3 million in grants to connect our trails. Like Nolensville, building a way for people to get outside, to be active, to be socially connected is huge. So we're building east and west, north and south connectivity, multimodality options for our residents and for our visitors. It's a big part of our future. And I think it's necessary, because if it's not talking about parks, it's certainly talking about transportation. So one of the other things Thompson Station is embarking on is a major thoroughfare plan. Right now, we got a green canvas of a community, but we know that over time, as we add subdivisions and we adopt and implement our land use plan, that we need more roads and we need better connectivity, whether it's roads or it's trails, et cetera. And so that's an important part of where we're going. Another thing that we're doing this year is looking at all of our sources of revenue, whether it's sales tax, property tax, impact fees, sewer rates, et cetera, et cetera. We have to be honest and pragmatic about what we're facing. We have the lowest property tax rate by far in the county. If you took our tax rate and moved it to Spring Hill's tax rate, just based on that absolute number of paying property tax owners, we go from $300,000 a year in property taxes to $2.2 million. Wow. If I was to do the same math with Franklin, it would go to $800,000 or $850,000 if we raised our property taxes to the current rates in our sister cities. So just to paint a picture, there's no free lunch. And so for us, how do we address the no free lunch topic is a big part of our community dialogue in the coming year. It's great to have a few recognitions in the last 6 months. U.S. News and World Report ranked Thompson Station as one of the 25 great American cities, small cities. Just a couple weeks ago, Apartment Therapy, an online tool that a lot of folks go to, ranked Thompson Station as one of the best suburbs of Nashville. That's great. It's great to see the accolades, and I think it speaks to what we're trying to accomplish as a community. So I'd encourage you all to come to Thompson Station, hang out and enjoy our parks, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. You want me to do this for you? You got a lot to handle. You want me to do it? And now we've got Mayor Rick Graham from Spring Hill, and we've got some slides, and I'm going to try to advance them for him because he's got his hands full there.
Good, thank you. We on? There we go. Good day. I got a lot to share with you, so you're going to have to listen very fast. The growth of Spring Hill. No big surprise there, right? Go one slide back, Mindy. You're a little too fast.
Oops, sorry. I'm bad.
There you go. Yeah. So everybody knows our growth, and no big surprise to you. And I just want to share some data and some history with you. And then I'm going to share some good news. Now you can change it. Thank you. This slide shows you Spring Hill's growth, and since 1990. Just 30 years ago, you can see the new residential permit growth along with our population. 35 permits, new residential permits in 1990 to 1,451 in 2005, which I've always described as our turbo years. And the city, of course, as you well know, did not keep up with our infrastructure along with our high growth. You know, then you notice in the graph, you notice the recession years of 2008, 2009, 2010, with our permits dropped down to about 180. This actually was a godsend for Spring Hill and quite a breather as we desperately needed it to, in hindsight. After the recession, you can see how we've climbed back. We're back up to 871 permits last year, which concerns us because, you know, we do not want to go back into our turbo years. So while we're still playing catch up on our infrastructure, which I'm going to share more soon, we understand all too well the consequences of turbo growth, and we do not want to experience no growth either and go through those severe consequences. So, you know, so we're trying to stay in that moderate level. I call it tap the brakes. Stay in that range so we can hopefully sustain it. As you know, we're one of the only cities here up here that we're in a two-county system in our city. The majority of our residential permits in the last few years have switched from Williamson County to Maury County. 75% of our 2019 permits last year were in Maury County, and just 3 to 4 years ago, that was flipped. It was majority Williamson. So with over 70% of our population on the Williamson side and going through those turbo years, you can see our traffic dilemma. And this is what we've been working on for several years now. Now I have some good news to share from when I saw you last year. After years of work on our road infrastructure planning, we have over $120 million in projects on the works or in different phases of progress. 2019 was a huge year for us as we finally were getting some road projects progressing. Took so many years. I have to give kudos to our city staff, our great relationships with TDOT and the GRNC, MPO. Those are the things that enabled us to get some of these projects up and going. But first, you probably wonder, how are we going to fund all these different projects? Well, in 2019, we took a major step. We had our first real property tax increase since we brought property tax back from 0 in 2007.
Zero.
We went from 0 to 60, and we raised about 9 cents last year, and we allocated every cent of this increased property tax last year to our top 10 capital improvement projects, which is mostly roads. And we put a sunset clause on this increase too, so when the projects are completed, the tax reverts back to the previous rate. And you're probably wondering about the pushback from a property tax increase. Well, I didn't have anybody come up and complain to me. You think, wow, that's amazing. And because everyone agreed, and we had been asking people all along, would you give up one Starbucks or whatever your favorite coffee brand is, would you give up one a week for better roads and get us caught up, or at least attempt to catch up? And everybody did. Now this, what you see, go back, Mandy, you're fast. There we go, thank you. This is our flagship road project for us, which is our new Buckner Road I-65 interchange that will open in 2024. 2024. Last year, I told you we had a great year. We received a federal build grant last year for $25 million to go toward this project. We were the only municipality in the state of Tennessee to get this build grant, and we were one of few that got the max of $25 million in the whole country. But you'll notice on the bottom of the slide, Spring Hill still got to contribute over $19 million for this project. So out of our coffers, we have got to come out with at least $19 million. Notice that the Buckner Road extension goes all the way to Lewisburg Pike. Can you change, please? There we go. The interchange is only one piece of our new gateway into North Spring Hill. As you know, Duplex Road has been under construction for a couple years now. It'll be finished up this year. But we're also working now on the preparation of Buckner Lane that runs north-south from Duplex Road to the new interchange and Buckner Road. These charts say 2025, but we're actually shooting for 24 we need Buckner Lane to open as soon as we can, along with the interchange at that time. And TDOT is contractually has to have this interchange completed by 24. So it's our goal to open up Buckner Lane at the same time. This allows the majority of our folks to get on and off the interstate without having to get on Highway 31 and come through Thompson Station. Makes him happy. Our next projects that we'll be working on that will happen after these projects will be the widening of Buckner Road, the existing Buckner Road, and Highway 31. That's going to have to be on the back burner for a little bit longer, and we'll be working with the state. And of course, we're working on the South Corridor study. Will be a part of that. So it'll be a few more years after that. But we had some more good news last year that Highway 31, Main Street, Spring Hill, is now on the state's 3-year list. Took us years to get that accomplishment, so we've got good news there. Okay, Mandy, one more, please. You know, so we're quite proud of what's happened in 2019 for our road projects. And now, you know, if we just squint You know, we just got to the point where if we just squint a little bit, you know, we can see a little light at the end of the tunnel for Spring Hill and our infrastructure. At our State of the City, we gave away these little squeezy toys. And what we did, we gave them away and we encouraged people, you know, to squeeze them while they're in traffic. Try not to curse me too much.
Yours doesn't look like you've squeezed it enough.
I know, I do. And hopefully to remind them that we have a lot of orange and white barrels in our future coming, you know, but in the end, it'll be worth it. Thank you.
Thank you to all the mayors. So when people registered, they could submit a question. Since we're not going to have questions from the audience, that's our way of collecting them. I could have printed out 10 pages of questions today. Many of them focused on topics you've addressed already, but I would like to ask you a couple questions, and whoever wants to respond can. You don't have to respond if you choose not to, but sort of an overall question. What's the one thing in 2019 that you're proudest of? And given all the good things going on in our community, what are you most grateful for as we begin the new year, and what are you looking forward to? So, what are you most proud of from 2019, gentlemen? And what are you looking forward to and grateful for in 2020? Anybody?
Well, thankful for our 50th celebration. I thought that was really great. We had a Golden Gallop, a parade in Brentwood, and a Brent Fest, which was a great festival in the middle of summer, and Rendezvous at Ravenswood in the fall, which was a lot of fun for everyone who attended. So I just think it's wonderful that as a community, we are in such good shape, have a community full of citizens who like to serve, who are excellent at what they do, and it's just I think it was just a fabulous culmination. 2020, as I talked about our police headquarters, something needed for several years that a lot of planning has gone into, and I want to thank our city staff and our police staff. And so those kind of things, I think when you serve the community, when you work on something for several years and then you see it come into fruition, I just feel like that it's like scoring a touchdown. I mean, it just brings, you know, you've worked towards this goal and you're seeing it achieved, and you see how it will help the community that you serve. So,
great. Anyone else got something to brag about from 2019 and something to look forward to?
Thank goodness we got to 2020. You know, I think we have a lot to be thankful for, and it's hard to narrow it down just to one thing. I'm thankful we passed the zoning ordinance in 2019, which supports our land use plan. I'm excited that the O'Moore campus was preserved for future generations, and I applaud the Heritage Foundation for the great work that they've done there. And I'm excited for the headquarters that have decided to locate here. We're the North American headquarters for a number of great companies, and this last year we saw the opening of Dave Ramsey's Ramsey Solutions headquarters, Mitsubishi North America, and we saw the opening of Mars Pet Care North America. So that's good growth, and the places that they're located are good places for those type of businesses, quick access to major arterials and the interstate. So we got a lot to be blessed for.
Rogers?
Mindy, I'll echo both of the mayor's comments so far, but I think the thing that I look back in 2019, I hadn't really thought of it the way you asked it, was the way we invested in our employees throughout the county. As all of the businesses out here know, it's very, very difficult to hire good workers anymore. and it's getting even more difficult to keep those good workers there. And so we invested in a new pay plan. We're able to get our employees, never enough, but we were able to invest in them and their future. And at the same time, we heard from the schools, and the county commissioner stepped up, and we were able to fund some significant teacher pay that is very much needed in our community to keep this volume going. I'm very proud of our public education, but you can't expect the teachers to work at the wages they're being asked to work for and live in our community. It's getting increasingly difficult. So that would be, I think that's the core value. Oftentimes we overlook, we take people for granted, and these employees we've got in counties and cities, they're just great folks. They're part of our neighborhood, but a lot of them don't live in our county because they can't afford to.
One of the other questions, and I thought several people asked this, what's the one thing that as citizens they can do to support the community? How can they help you do your job better? I got that question 5 or 6 times in those 10 pages of questions. So what can citizens do to help you be the mayors of their towns and county? Go ahead.
I'll answer that a little bit if I can. The one thing citizens can do is to get involved a little bit. Serve on committees, come to our meetings, understand what we're about, what we're doing, and how we're doing it, and we're doing it as well as we can. We have great committees, Trees and Trails, and all these committees. They work hard to make sure that Nolensville remains the special place it is. My one advice to the citizen is get involved and understand what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it.
The one thing I would add, vote. Vote. Spring Hill last election was 5.67% of registered voters. Yeah, look at her, 5.67%. So, you know, if I tell people, if don't do anything else, please get out there and vote and encourage good people to run for office.
I'd just add to that maybe the converse, which is after you vote, stay involved, like Jimmy said. You know, there's nothing more discouraging sometimes than come to a monthly board meeting and there's no citizens there. And then you start hearing innuendos and insinuations that such and such is happening, and the gossip fires up in the HOA bulletin boards and so forth and so on. That's really disingenuous. You know, our meetings are videotaped, and yes, you can watch them from home, but you got to follow the storylines. You got to understand the nuances of the discussions that we're having. These things evolve over months, if not years. And so that's one thing. The second thing is, in Thompson Station, we have an old community association that needs to be repopulated with some new blood. One of the things I'm grateful for is the number of new residents have said, put me in, coach, where can I help? How can I serve? And so I'm always recruiting and trying to list newcomers and old-timers both to participate. We need help with our parks. We need hands-on, pick up litter days. There's any number. And so part of our job at the town level is to create those opportunities. It's a two-way street. So thank you.
Great. We've got about 5 to 7 minutes left, and there's a lot of focus, obviously, on transportation and the questions that were submitted. And with the South Corridor study wrapping up, what are the next steps in finding transportation solutions? And once determined, should Williamson County join forces with Nashville on a comprehensive transit plan? So I know Mayor Anderson and Mayor Moore are very involved on the regional level. Maybe Mayor Anderson, what are your thoughts on the South Corridor study wrapping up? And once determined, should Williamson County join forces in a comprehensive transit plan?
So, excellent question. I don't think any of us in this church building would not agree that we've got some transportation issues. You look at the population growth numbers, you look at individual cities that are just going off the chart in residential permits. Voting is important. Getting involved is important, but we've got to find some solutions. And I think part of that, many of us are involved in the MPO and the GNRCs and Mid-Cumberlands, all that. We as a collective group, if you look at that first slide, it's all about Middle Tennessee. This is the machine that's driving the state of Tennessee. This 9 or 11 county area. I don't know how, from a legal standpoint, that you can take city or county tax dollars and put them in another county like Davidson. But somehow we've got to remove the barrier that Old Hickory separates Davidson County and Williamson County for some solid planning. Ken and I were just kind of tongue-in-cheek commenting that the Southern Quarter study is just not progressing like it should. You can point fingers at it, but at the end of the day, it's just not. Part of it is just the growth. You can't catch up with the numbers when you're growing a doubling of the city and 148% growth population. So, I mean, we're working at it. Frank, Ken could talk half a day. I could too, about how much money we're putting in roads improvement. But we've got to look at some land use plans, some zoning. We've got to find ways to kind of just slow this thing down a little bit and let us catch our breath. And I know that's going to be a pushback. I mean, the county commission, Ken made reference to it, the meeting tomorrow morning we're having. There'll be people that do not want to change that land zone, but we have got to look at a way to slow this thing down so that we can all catch our breath, because it's affecting your pocketbook at the juvenile area, the jail level, the highway level, every area available. And guess what? The money's less out of Washington and Nashville than it ever has been. That answer your question?
It did.
And then I do want to comment on one other before Ken in vote and do all that, but also call you city mayors all the time.
I can give his phone number if you want me to.
First today, trying to be a nice guy. You know, I think that we've placed a lot of emphasis on the Southern Quarter study, and that study is supposed to cast a vision of how we're going to solve some of our transportation issues in the future. But there have been some significant changes this year with Governor Lee. Governor Lee is now talking about the issue. Not that Governor Haslam was not involved with transportation, but Governor Lee is putting additional emphasis, and he's told his commissioners and folks that he wants to solve this problem. And one of the first problems is to solve some of the bottlenecks in Nashville in that inner loop. We still have to address dedicated funding. We have to work very closely with Nashville and Mayor Cooper. We have Faye DeMassimo here this morning, and I applaud her. She is I like to call her the transportation guru for Davidson County. And even though she's Davidson County, we're going to be working very closely with her to solve some of those problems. But dedicated funding is the big gorilla in the room long term. It's not going to be just autonomous vehicles or buses or bus on shoulder. It's going to be a lot of different things that solve it. And some of the solutions are going to have to involve how we build our communities. You know, as we design our communities, we want to design a community where people can just walk to work, live where they work, and those type of things. And we see that trend occurring. So I think we also have to, you know, we made a big deal about the Improve Act. With the Improve Act, what's after the Improve Act? You know, the cost to build roads have already far exceeded what they anticipated. So we're going to have to, again, make some hard decisions moving forward, how we're going to solve this. And we know what happens if we don't solve the problem. We're in gridlock. So, you know, we'll continue to work as mayors and have those conversations and continue to support the governor and the legislature and let them know what we think is important to move forward, and as we work with the MPO also.
Great. We could, as I said, I had 10 pages of questions submitted, so we could sit here all day and talk to these guys, but we want to be sensitive to their time and to your time and give you some time also to interact with them after we leave the stage today. But let's say thank you to our mayors of Williamson County.
Thank you.
So this is the kickoff breakfast for our 2020 Breakfast with the Mayor series. And again, we thank our partners, Pinnacle Financial and other partners. This is also, the next dates are April 28th, July 28th, and October 27th. And then we'd also suggest you join us on February 10th for our next Frank Talks lecture, which will be at the Williamson County Enrichment Center, and we'll hear from the Williamson County Health Department and Vanderbilt University Medical Center on the results of the year-long community health needs assessment and look at outcomes as we move forward. It's our birthday or anniversary, however you want to say it. Franklin tomorrow is turning 20 years old. And as you leave the auditorium, please consider supporting us with a donation through our dip jar. Yeah, we're really proud of it. We love that thing. It's so cute. But it'll take less than 15 seconds to do that, and your donation makes you part of our 20 in 2020 celebration. We'll have a lot of events coming up. Get a historic Franklin license plate. Get signed up for the Mayor's Golf Tournament. Some of y'all have played in that. Rogers doesn't play golf, right? Why don't you play golf, Rogers? You don't need. He played one time? Okay, well, that's good, yeah. But he said he.
Some of us are working, Mindy.
Okay, all right, well, that's good. I think that's a good way to end this. As you can tell, these are good guys, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, that's fun.